Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Um, Housekeeping as usual. Every time it seems I got to have a housekeeping session. Hang on one second. Let me adjust some stuff here. There we go. I want to address yesterday's conversation because the comment section after the podcast was quite interesting. Um, and as many of you know, I'm a I'm a big fan of clarification. And there are plenty of people that don't think that should be the case. They think it's a distraction from the topic. They think that I'm going off track. And the comment section after the podcast was kind of littered with a few people that said, just get back to the topic and stop trying to address people. And I don't know how many times I need to make this clear to folks, but um, you're not running the podcast. Like the people I choose to address, I choose to address them. And if it's too much of a distraction for you, then you have the option to just not listen to it. I'm not trying to coerce anybody to listening. I'm not trying to force anybody. I'm speaking, and people complain about it being too slow, that I speak too slow, or they complain about this or they complain about that. And if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But just because you feel that way don't mean that I need to comply to your feeling. The other thing is I should and have to believe in the earth being flat, because it's a crucial thing, because truth matters. I'm like, you do understand that that particular truth matters to somebody who's looking for that truth, right? You do understand that the earth being round or flat, if that's your pivot point for believing God is or isn't, is up to you. I'm convinced in my own mind and heart of what I'm needing to be convinced about with when it comes to God. I don't need to expound on something that is inconsequential to my salvation just to appease people and their viewpoints about what is vital to my walk. The earth being flat or round is not consequential to my walk. If there are people out there that want to find out about earth being round or flat, there are tons of podcasts that cover that, and they cover it pro or con. You can find either one. But I'm not that spot. Because when I read the book, there is less time paid to that than there is paid to my salvation. And the last time I checked, it was not a step necessary to believe. So I just want people to understand that when this particular topic of flat and round earth comes up and I say I don't care, I really don't care. Because if you do, then that's fine. But I don't. I really, really don't. And it is not a matter of whether it's true or not. That level of truth is inconsequential to my walk. It may not be to others, and that's fine. But don't try to put your level of consequence on me. I don't share your level of importance when it comes to that topic. And with that being said, you can decide to continue or not continue listening. It is what it is. I'm not forcing anyone to stay or go. So I just want to make sure I put that out there. Okay, good. Um, Today we're going to talk about Mr. Michael Todd. And I will let you know right off the rip that Mr. Todd had his beginnings with a certain individual that we have already covered as well. And not only did he have his start there, he apparently is the heir apparent to this particular heretic. And when I tell you the name of this heretic, you will understand more as to where this might be going and why Michael Todd is the way he is. You see, he started off in Transformation Church with a influence of Mr. Carlton Pearson. That's his mentor. In fact, he was going to be taking over the reins once Mr. Carlton has left this earth. And they both espoused as much, and we'll get to that in a second. But I want you to know what his origins on his faith is, so you can understand why he is the way he is and what he speaks about, So I'm going to play for you something from his Easter service so you can get a little breakdown of the person himself, just as you can see him in his rawest stated form. And then we'll go into a couple other things here. Okay, let me make sure we grab all the things I need here, because I don't think my window stayed open when I wanted it to. Okay, here we go. This first clip is from the Easter service, or the pre-Easter service that he was going to have, but it's going to have some mixed stuff in it. So listen away.
I became the pastor, and I didn't know what a pastor did. And so I was meeting with a group of people, and they was like, what should we do for Easter? I was like, I've never preached the Easter message, so I'm not going to start this year. We need to come up with an Easter play. And they was like, all right, let's do it. I said, but it can't be no whack, raggedy, just, he got up. Like, it just cannot be that. Okay, y'all gonna act like I'm the only one that saw, like, oh, yay. That was good. Like, I was like, it's gotta move people. And I really wanted to be focused on people who don't know God or are far from him. Because, like, usually Easter is like where we come to cheer with the people who already are on the team. That's called practice. Let me stop. I want to go after the people who haven't signed up to play the game yet. I want the person who feels lonely and isolated and like God doesn't care. I want them to see how amazing Jesus actually is and what God actually did for all of us. So I said, we're going to go to the edge on this. And they said, Pastor, how far on the edge are we going to go? I said, we're going to do everything short of sin. Oh, y'all, I felt the religious people. Their booties got tight right there. Stop. I said, we're going to go right to, and we're going to reach over and grab the people who thought they were nothing, thought that God hated them, thought that they read something that somebody said and said that God won't forgive them. We're going to snatch them back. So in 2000.
You know the whole avoid the very appearance of evil statement that's in the book? He didn't take that into consideration, because if you saw the video of their dancing at that event, you'd understand a few things. One of the biggest things you'll discover that he is a little bit weird when it comes to his expression of love stuff and God. Okay, so this is where he got to. I'm going to show you where he got to with that party that he said he was going to throw for Easter, and you can tell me if they stop short of sin. Now, remember, he said we'll do everything short of sin. Go right up to the line of what you would consider sin, and not cross it. Now, what I'm going to show you, you can tell me if it crosses or not. Because remember what one of the things that was considered sin is lust, right? Okay, good. So you tell me if this is what this comprises of. Oh?
Saying dragon, this is what you need to do. Step one, find you a baddie. Okay. But step two, he gotta have a fatty. Hey, hey,
Yeah.
look back at it.
Uh-oh.
What is she doing?
Friends, I don't have a fatty.
Girl, we keep telling you it's okay. Your little booty matter too, friend. Y'all know they don't be discriminating.
Okay, demons, now let's get information.
So you can decide for yourself if they got to the line and crossed it, or if they got to the line and stayed behind it. If you have young men in that audience, right, that you're trying to bring to God, and the entire culture that they're coming from is about big booties and a baddie, why would you bring that to the forefront at a service that was about the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ? Now, hear me out. I'm not saying that the season of Easter is relevant or irrelevant, or should be or shouldn't be. That's between you and God, and in respect to days and celebrations and feasts and all that stuff. That's the thing you and God got to work out. The same way I'm not going to pick a side on Christmas for you. You have to decide that for yourself. But when talking about such a great sacrifice in his death and for the purposes of his death, what exactly does that have to do with bringing someone to his side? You see, in our effort to try and reach people, we do the exact opposite. We join them instead of asking them to join us. Because I've kept saying that God is not enough for these people. It has to be God and some frill, God and some additives, God and some circumstance, God and this and God and that. A human being cannot come to the knowledge of God without this, and this. He is not enough. This even goes back to the whole flat and round earth thing. Introduction to God himself is not enough. I have to prove other things to get you to listen. So when I tell people that if you don't have enough confidence that God can do what he needs to do because you need to add other things to convince people, what does that say about you? So because I think that God is sufficient, and he says his invisible qualities are available for all to see, I shouldn't need to prove anything. I can simply tell you God made that. How do you know? Because he said he did. That's no longer enough. You have to add something else to God. That's become the norm now. You have to add something to God for him to have validity. So when I say I don't need anything else, I don't need a sign, I don't need a wonder, I don't need a healing, I don't need a prophecy, I don't need any of that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, and I'm not saying it doesn't have a place, but I don't need that. I don't need it. I simply don't. So what we're going to listen to next, because I want to go in reverse order. You're going to listen to his the Mr. Todd talking at Mr. Pearson's building. Technically, it is his church because he doesn't follow God at all, for sure. So listen up.
I had the amazing pleasure of being born into the ministry that was Higher Dimensions. I have no other recollection of church except walking into Higher Dimensions, whether it be green carpet or fuchsia carpet. And remembering three distinct things about Carlton Pearson. I remembered how Carlton Pearson smelled. He had to use a gallon of cologne every time that he walked out, every time. I remembered how Carlton Pearson would sing. He would downplay it like it was something that he really couldn't do. But as soon as he opened his mouth, he made everybody not want to sing ever again. And I remembered how Carlton Pearson lived. And I could give 1,000 stories because I saw it from the age that I could remember all the way up until the week that he went on to be with the Lord.
Do you think Carlton Pearson went home to be with the Lord?
Now, the eulogy that he's giving tells you everything you need to know about what indoctrination looked like. You see, once that spirit gets on you, it doesn't leave, like at all. Ironically, and you can go check this for yourself and see if I'm lying. Go check for yourself and see if I'm lying. Every single one, and I mean every one of these pastors, go look for yourself. All of them have one major similarity. Can you guess what that is? They all share one very similar, if not exact same, personality trait. And that's a very effeminate spirit. All of them carry this effeminate behavior. Every last one of them. All of them. Not a one is without it. And I literally mean that with all of them, the whites, the blacks, all of them that have that particular mindset about God. They all have that spirit. Now, Michael Todd, though, explains what he would do if he were God. And he tries to mask it. Remember I told you that they do the truth and lie thing? They do the truth and lie thing to you so that they have a nice blend. So they can tell you one thing that God said, and then they'll throw in their little thing there for you to cling to, but they'll add it to the truth so it sounds really good. Or it sounds like the exact same, it sounds like truth. It sounds true. Why not believe it? Why not believe it? Now, this next one is from the actual celebration. And I want you to listen to the prophecy that's going to be said over your boy. Okay? He's going to get a prophecy said over him by one of Carlton's people.
I'm feeling older than I am right now. Hey! All right. High five your neighbor and say, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Y'all take this. Oh. one of Bishop's dearest friends, has been in ministry with him from Tulsa all the way to today. We want to hear words of expression from Archbishop, one and only. Thank you for being here, sir. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your ministry. Archbishop Bernard.
Amen. We thank God. Everybody say, thank the Lord. I'm looking for my confident monitor so I can be confident. All right. Well, I'm going to give on to God. Thank God for Bishop. Amen. McIntosh, blessings to you, man of God, and your wife. And also we want to thank this great man. I don't know if he's bishop-elect, bishop-designate, but he's going to evidently enter into this vein because it's not a coincidence, speaking prophetically, that the body of this man, last state, rests in this place.
The amount of honor. I don't know why the sunglasses either. I have been trying to figure this out for a while now. I'm glad you guys brought that up. I have been trying to figure out the glasses and shades thing for a while. And the only thing I could think of, is that there is some sort of ritual somewhere that requires it. That is the only thing I can think, is that there's some sort of ritual that requires it. Shady people wear shades in an environment like that. Shades are built for a specific thing. Sun, there's none in the building. I mean, I understand there are bright lights everywhere and you might need it to fend off the stuff, but that's the eulogy thing that they're doing. And it was a big party for Carlton. Nothing against the reasonings, how they want to celebrate the man. That's up to them. But he issued a prophecy over Mr. Todd with the taking over. The issue here is what he's handing off is heresy. And you'll hear it right now. And this is the next phase of the indoctrination. Because of that sugar in the tank behavior, you will see something and you'll say something and he'll sandwich it in between the truth about what God says and he'll deceive many. This is how they do it. Okay. You can hear for yourself exactly how he's going to do it because I'm going to have you listen to all of it so no one can say I took it out of context. Okay, good.
I'm trying to give you, I'll serve the king. No, you do what you want to do. You value your opinion of it.
Yeah, and I will say this. Him saying that is going to come back later to bite him, but I don't think he remembers half the stuff he says and how contradictory his statements about him, his own viewpoint is.
More than you value God's, not just opinion, his decision on it.
And FYI, we might consider God's way his decision. It is not a decision when you cannot choose the alternative. It is not a decision if you have nothing to decide between. God cannot choose evil. He can only do good. And good by him. He cannot do evil, so hence he cannot choose to make a decision between the two. This is how they try to humanize God. They love to humanize God. And not just humanize, but dehumanize as well. As you will hear next.
God's already decided some stuff that we think can have an opinion on. I'm trying to decide right now, Cordell, how much I'm gonna get him to try to. God decided male and female.
Now, I'm going to make sure I break this down for you. He is about to step into a territory that eventually will become the norm for pastors to do. He's about to step into a territory where they will eventually continue to go. Okay? Because he cannot see that the creation of male and female and their function is a direct replication of the nature of God, he thinks it's a decision. He cannot see that man and woman being created as they are is a direct imprinting in kind of what he does, of what God does, who he is, not what he decides. We are an expression of everything God. From replication, insemination, roles, all of it reflects God. It's not decisions. It's after a nature, which is why he calls it a perversion when we go outside of that nature. But he has to use this terminology to get you to a point to believe what he's about to say. He has to do that. It's a butter up.
No. I'm not. This is not a bad. I need y'all to hear my heart on this. This is not a bashing. This is not a. If I was there, maybe I would have told him, is there something in the middle you could do? Like kind of.
See?
Like a little maybe if somebody, well, I was born like this. I don't know how I feel. I feel you. And I wish that there was an option of other in the kingdom.
I will let him finish in a minute, but I want you to do it in parts, because this is what he does not want you to do, is break apart what he's saying, because he has to string it together to get you to feel what he's saying. Not hear it, but feel it. He wishes there was an option for other. Mostly because he's still in the closet. That's why he has to wish for the option of other. Do you think if he said, if I was there, do you think I could have talked to him about getting a third option? I was born this way. I don't know what to do. You see, this is the problem when I tell you that this is the problem when God isn't enough. You come up with these explanations that make no sense according to God, because you have to get people the excuse to live a certain way. You give them the excuse to be a certain way, and you give them the license to be a certain way because you want their money. You want their attention. You want it. So you have to create in their mind an opening for them to come to you, because you're giving them what they want. So let's see how he slips in some truth here. You ready? So he just dropped what he wants you to believe, and now he's going to slip some truth in there to make you solidify that belief. Here we go.
In culture, can make up whatever you want to. In culture, you can build whatever you want to, but it's the truth of the matter is that if we are going to submit under what the king says, I'm going to have to wrestle with what I don't even fully understand. Oh God, pastors don't say this because they want to be absolute. Well, why did that? I don't freaking know. I know, honestly, I wish God would have made it so much simpler. And
I'm pretty sure he made it simple. I am pretty sure God made it pretty stinking simple. Male for female. That's pretty simple. You know what's complicated? Male, female, trans female, non-binary, gender fluid. That's confusing. Simple is male, female. Blah. I don't know how much more simple you want it than that, but that's pretty stinking simple.
it was like A, B, C, or D, like frick. No, I'm serious. As a pastor, like, so what do you think about gay men? I don't know.
What do you think about gay marriage? I don't know. Now listen carefully. This is where he brings in another piece of truth to cover with that lie. Because here's the thing, you can't have what he just said and the next statement he's going to make reside in the same mind. One of them has supremacy. One of them has supremacy. Because if you are saying that you are under the headship of the king, then you do know what he says about it. You do know. You may not like it, yeah, but you do know. But don't come up there and say, I don't know. You do. You do.
But I do know in the kingdom.
See?
They're going to cancel me. I'm not the king. I don't know why he decided to do it like this.
When I tell you that they get you feeling, he has to make you feel as though he identifies with your struggle. How else do I get you to join me in a venture? I have to empathize and sympathize. And I wish God made it clear, but in his kingdom, he just doesn't make it clear. And you're going to have to struggle for the rest of your life, not knowing anything. You're just going to have to struggle. Just know that God, this is how he wanted it. He decided this for himself. And we can't change it. He decided that just out of the blue, God just decided this. And that's all we can do. Just deal with his decision. If you really are under the headship of Christ, you know what you would be saying? Praise God for this life that excludes all other options. Because right now you are more akin to a stubborn child than you are a servant. You really hate your dad because he's not giving you what you want and you can't understand why he can't give it to you. But you're in his house and you just have to abide by the rules.
I don't know why you're wrestling like that, and I don't know what to do to help you but to stand with you and pray with you, and you're welcome at Transformation Church. Trans is in the title. Transformation. You can be here.
Did you see how he did that? They are masterful at this. When I say they are good, they are good. They're good. They're so good. They are great at what they do. He just finished saying that in the kingdom, there is none of that. He just said that, only to turn around and then tell them, I don't know why God does not allow it, but here, God doesn't allow it in his kingdom, but here at Transformation Church, you are welcome. Trans is in the title. You can be here. While just telling them that if you're in the kingdom, you see why I told you they can't be in the same body? But by telling them you're welcome here, you have just told them, without telling them, that God's rules don't apply in this building. But I'm here under the auspices of God. I am here reflecting God and talking about God. However, I don't fully agree with his breakdown of his kingdom. I'm in it, but I don't like it. I wish there was a different way. If you are in the kingdom wishing there was a different way, you are not in the kingdom. If you think you're in the kingdom wishing the kingdom functioned differently, you are not in the kingdom. You're on the outside looking in. You sideline quarterbacking. You're quarterbacking from your living room. Mind you, this is the same guy that tried to give a representation of Jesus and the blind man, of the smearing of spit and dirt, where he spat in his hand and rubbed it on this guy's face. Because he really genuinely believes that he is one of the elite in God's kingdom, but not in God's kingdom, in his version of God's kingdom. The best way, you see, Earl, I would agree that they have the most money, but I think they have the most pull. The LGBTQ community has the most pull of anything. They can get you canceled in a heartbeat, or they can get you popular in a heartbeat. This is why that flamboyant spirit has to join with the leaders who push it. You saw Greg yesterday, didn't you? Isn't it weird that every time they try to give an example of someone talking about somebody, they go straight to a female? You don't find that kind of weird? You don't find it that every time they're trying to make an inflection, they go to a female persona? Every last one of them, when trying to drive a point home, pick out a female persona to exemplify the point. That's not accidental. That's not accidental. I want you to watch this real quick. Where is it? Okay, here we go. You tell me if this is not a female thing to do.
To serve in the kingdom and to serve in kingdom dominion, you have to submit your opinion. How many people have an opinion in this room and watching online? Come on, hands, I need y'all to help me. And how many people have opinion on a lot of stuff? Let's just be honest. I wouldn't do it like that. I would
See?
never wear that color.
You see
Ew.
You see?
I would never eat that. Oh, I would love to eat that. How many people actually value
You see
their
it?
opinion? Come on, let's be honest. If your hand is not up right now, you're lying. You value your opinion. Culture teaches you to value your opinion. Kingdom teaches you to submit your opinion. Oh, they're not gonna like this. I'm gonna need my whole security team after this. Your opinion is valid. It just doesn't matter that much.
Do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it? It is blatant. All of his mannerisms, when trying to get a point across, go straight to the effeminate spirit. All of them do it. Their favorite hand pose is this right here, this thing right here, and they put it right here. And they'll make their pointers like that. Look, okay, if you are female out there right now, tell me if I'm lying. Tell me that you guys don't talk with your hands like this a lot. Or bend your hand like this a lot when you talk. What man does this when he talks all the time? There is a definite spirit upon them. If you look at all of them, they do the same thing. They all come forward with the exact same expressions. They walk across the stage the same way. They articulate things the same way. They talk the same way. And they emphasize the same things. They emphasize the same things. Michael Todd has said a lot of crazy things in his time. And his idea of salvation is so skewed that the people that follow him don't even know where to start to get out of it. But that's by design. He is not doing this accidentally. This is by design. And they all mimic one very, very important person. They all do it. They all do one very important thing. This is what they do really well. Let me find it for you here. I'm gonna make sure I get the there we go. All right. Let's read this real quick and you'll see exactly what I mean. Now the serpent, this is in Genesis 3. The serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, has God indeed said, you shall not eat of every tree in the garden? What Satan does here is this, or at least the serpent. You shall not eat of every tree in the garden. While God didn't say that, he did specify a tree not to eat from. What Satan does is he puts out a truth that God did say something. He did mention trees, and they are in the garden. 3 very pivotal truths. What he doesn't do is narrow it down, because then he would come across as a liar. Then he poses it as a question. Has he said that? I just want to make sure that's what he said. The true with a lie. And the woman said to the servant, we may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said, you shall not eat it. And what it encourages her to do is to also add, nor shall you touch it, lest ye die. Then the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die. For God knows that that day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. A small lie or an omission of truth can make you fall all the way to your face. But that's what they do. And they capture you, hence taking you out of the garden and into their world. Did God really say? Well, I don't know what exactly he said, but I don't know why God said what he said, but introduce you with the doubt. And once you have the doubt, I can introduce a lie. And then you can run with both thinking that you're in the truth. It's genius. But their father is a genius at lying too. Their father is a genius at lying too. So why would the sons and the daughters not be just as cunning? They're just as cunning. You throw a little bit of truth up in there, cover it with a nice layer of lies, and sprinkle it with a little more truth, and put it in the oven, let it warm up, and then they offer it to the congregation and they eat. And before too long, they're so filled with all the lies in the middle, but so distracted by the little bit of truth on the top, that the seasoning on the top just hides all the gut rot that's happening underneath it. And by then, it's too late. The food poisoning's already taken place. But you ate it happily because it tasted so good and it looked so pretty when it was done. Man, a golden brown on the top of this thing, and it smells so good. It smells true. I'm going to eat it. And it's packed with lies, which is why they don't want you going to taste of the actual source. They are the buffer, which is why you don't see them telling you to go to. They tell them to come to the church. And they tell them you can stay as you are. Because it's easier. It's easier. I think he is more of a... I think he's worse than Carlton Pearson, T.D. Jakes, and all of them combined. Here's why I think Michael Todd is one of the worst at it. And not worse in terms of how he does it, but the damage he's doing. He's worse at it. He's overly charismatic, and he's young. And he already has the kind of reach that people like Pearson and Jakes didn't have until their later years. He's reaching the ear of an already dumbed down society. His next following will be way more indoctrinated and way more lemming-like than any of the others before him. He will have the kind of grip that almost nobody will get through to. This is the danger of a false prophet. This is the danger of a heretic, is that they will take them to that portion of scripture that they will rebuke sound doctrine. Because they've been given a lie so well that nothing will penetrate it. They will reject God while thinking they're embracing God, which is where the danger lies. Do you remember the tax collector and the Pharisee before God? And the Pharisee was so gung-ho about all his righteous acts. And I'm not like that, and I'm not like this, and I'm not like that, while he was all the time the furthest away. Meanwhile, the tax collector recognized who he was before God and was able to then encounter him. The problem with this particular church, loosely using that term, is that they are in the pharisaical way of thinking they're fine because they were told they are, and they're not. They were told they were fine. And so they start looking around thinking, yeah, I'm good the way I'm at. This is how God made me after all. That's what the pastor said. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he's way more dangerous. Way more dangerous. Then you go and do that R&B rap thing with Easter, more bringing in the young. He has to connect. He's the one responsible for saving after all, because he is his own God. He's his own God. While that may be true, he is powerful enough, though, to distract people from Jesus. And if the people don't know their need, they will never turn to the one who can fulfill it. This is the reason why doing this is important, showing people the fallacies and the breakdowns and the lies. You can hope that the truth will override in their mind, not in reality, but in their mind, whether or not they turn. You can only hope. At the end of the day, everybody has to choose. God will not coerce you. He will not force you. He'll present you with the information and you have to pick. Following is a choice. It's all choice. You have to lay it down. He's not going to rip it from your hands. Which is why what he is doing is so dangerous, because he's forcing people to remove choice from their mind as an option. He's telling them there's no choice necessary. You'll find the way you are. There's nothing you have done that needs forgiving. And if it does need forgiving, you don't even need to ask. It's fine. You're not in a state of loss anyway, because God loves you always. There's no repenting, no turning away of none of it. That's the danger. He's assured them that the train track has been decommissioned and no trains are coming. What's that sound I hear? Don't worry about the sound. Trust me, that train track is decommissioned. There is nothing coming. But I see lights. Don't worry about the lights. You'll go right between them. You'll be fine. So I'm seeing lights and I'm hearing stuff and I see the train. Trust me and believe me, that train is only there because it's a track, but it's a decommissioned track. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Now focus on what I'm telling you. What did I just say? I'm fine. The track is just a track. It's decommissioned. Say it again. The track is decommissioned. Nothing will hit you. Nothing will hit you. And then by the time the train shows up and obliterates them into red dust, too late. Too late. Then he'll turn around and drag somebody else onto the train track. That's how they do. That's how they do. which is why I will never stop telling you to go back to the only one who answers all the questions you have. Not man, God. I am not, and nor will I ever be, the end of the road for anybody. I do not wish to be, hope to be the end of anybody's spiritual journey. I keep telling you, I'm a sign. I am a sign. I'm a vessel. That is it. There's nothing uniquely special. I'm just doing what he said to do, which is point people to him. No one else, nothing else, just him. And if it ends up being that you don't want that, then you don't want it. But you can't say you weren't shown the direction to it. Go talk to the author. He will tell you exactly what needs to be done, who he is, and how he expects you to live. Man can't do that. Man will always direct you to what you want in some way, shape, form, or fashion. If y'all aren't spending time with him, you'll never know him. And you'll be thrown around and you'll be directed here and directed there and talked to do this and to follow that. And you'll never be happy. And I don't mean happy human happy. You'll never find joy because you're avoiding the source of it. And you'll go to every kind of option to try and find a reason to believe God other than his presence. You'll find flat earth, round earth, lizard people, spirits here, Nephilim, black history, white history. You'll go through everything but God to find out who he is. And I find that kind of crazy. I get that kind of funny. In Romans 1, all right, I'll leave you guys with this. In Romans 1, verse 20, it says, "From since creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse." The reason people look to the stars and to something astronomical and to some minute detail is because they refuse to watch the obvious. They don't want the obvious. When he tells you directly that the obvious is right there, he says, since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. But people don't want to see the obvious. They always want extra. Like I said, God plus something. They always got to add something to God. And in essence, what they actually believe is a sign, not God. They end up believing the sign. They don't believe God. Man, look, we are at a pivotal point in history. Mostly because we're here. And I don't know when the world will end. And I don't know how he's going to make everything happen the way he listed it. And I don't care how. And when people hear that, they're like, well, you're supposed to care. If I trust God, if I say I trust him, then he's got that covered, right? Since I don't have to do anything, I'm not doing it. Okay, I'm not involved in that. No? Okay, then he got that. He knows exactly what needs to be done. He knows how it's going to play out, right? Good. which is why it's imperative for me to stay connected. So that when things start happening, I don't got to worry. I don't have to worry how. I don't got to worry the process. I don't even gotta care if it's a new kingdom here on earth. None of that will matter to me because I'm focused on staying ready. Just be ready. It's like this. If you have a kid and you tell the kid we're going somewhere exciting, and the kid starts to say, "Oh, really? Do we have enough gas?" I told you we are going somewhere special, right? Yeah, okay. Do you think I would be taking you somewhere if I didn't have gas in the car? But do we have tires? It's a car. And I said we're going. Okay. Do we have food? Do we have this? What's the weather like? This is all the questions the kid's asking, right? And this and this and this. Do we have that? Mind you, he's talking to his parent who was the first person to suggest we go somewhere. And the mom says, or the dad says, we're leaving in 10 minutes. For 9 minutes, this child is asking, are we going to have this? We're going here, we're going that, and blah, 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 blah. 30 seconds before it's time to depart. The kid's just sitting there in contemplation, looking out windows, trying to figure out. 10 minutes ago, the parent told the child, be ready to go. The child spent all that time looking for the sign of ready to go, looking for the preparation of ready to go. Meanwhile, all that's taking place outside of their purview. The parent is taking care of it because that's what the parent's supposed to do in order to tell the child we're going somewhere. But the child is so hell-bent on figuring out all the processes that the parent's supposed to do, they forget to get dressed. And the parent told them, look, I got to leave in 5 minutes. I got to leave in 2 minutes. I got to leave in 1 minute. And the kid's still complaining about what is and isn't. And are you ready to go? Mom steps out of the bedroom. Dad steps out of the bedroom. Dressed and ready to go. And the kid's nowhere near dressed. In fact, the kid's just sitting there doing everything but getting dressed. And then before long, the mom and the dad said, well, I guess you're not going. Like, what do you mean? I was getting all this other stuff figured out. We had to get all this stuff figured out. No, that was my job. The parent said, my job was to get all that ready. I told you to get dressed. That's all I told you was to get dressed. You're my child, right? Yes. Do you think I would have you do something and not have the rest prepped out? You didn't trust me. You didn't trust me. And when I saw that it's been 30 seconds before we're ready to go and you're not even remotely dressed because you weren't even concerned about it, I called the babysitter. You'll be staying home with the babysitter. You have 2 other siblings. They got dressed. They're going with us. They didn't ask me all these questions because they trusted me. They're going to the store with me. We're going to go have dinner. The babysitter will cook for you. Whatever they cook, that's what you're going to eat. But, no. I told you specifically to get dressed. We are going. My job as the parent is to get everything detail-oriented ready. I gave you one job. I did not give you the job to dictate how I do it. I did not give you the job to figure out when I would do it. I didn't give you the job to figure out how. I told you to get dressed. You ignored my one command to you to try and be what you're not. You tried to be me. And I told you to get dressed. Your siblings got dressed when I told them, and they've been sitting there waiting for me to leave. You ignored that. But now you want me to feel as bad because you don't get to go when I told you what to do to go? That's on you. So you'll stay home, babysitter, whatever she cooks, peanut butter and jelly. We're going to go to Benihana's. We're going to eat. And we're going to eat good. And when we come home, I'm going to make sure that your siblings don't rub it in your face. But you're going to see the contentment on their face, though. You're going to see the joy. that they went out and hung out with us, then the kid's going to say, you're such a bad parent. That's what people will look and say. What kind of parent would do that? The kind of parent that told you to do something and you didn't do it. And you're now paying the consequences for not listening. So you guys can continue to figure out all the other details that God said he has uncontrolled. He is doing it. I don't need to figure that out. I need to stay focused on my relationship with him. I need to be so connected that if he tells me to go, I'll go. If he tells me to stay, I'll stay. The rest of it, he's got. People wonder, is it going to be a real dragon? Is it going to be a real horse coming from the sky? I don't know. But if I am connected to him and doing what I'm supposed to do, which is communicating with him every day, however he executes it, I'm going to be ready. Because you know why? Even if I have questions, is this really you? I can go to him like I've been doing for verification. It's that simple. It's that simple. God has to be enough. And if he's not enough, then you don't know him, and you need to know him so that he is enough. He has to be enough. Okay. It's a weekend. I'll give you guys one update on my brother's situation. And it's not a good update at all. And I really had to fight my rage and wanting to handle things physically. I really had to check that yesterday. I didn't check it very well initially. Not that I'm not going to do something about what happened, but I had to really check what flared up because of it. So I told you guys that my mom took him into the doctor for evaluation because he was acting more erratic than normal, and they think it's attributed to all the chaos that happens in the other apartments where they live. And then Mom called me yesterday and said that she went in to get him because they called her to say he was going to be released. When she got to the hospital, there were nurses helping him walk from the area where he was staying. My brother does not need assistance walking. He's not that kind of special needs. And she noticed that he looked like he was in a lot of pain. And my brother's way older than me. He's 10 years almost older than me. 8 years, I believe he's 8 or 9 years older. And apparently, he started to tell her what and why he was limping because they were trying to get him dressed, but they kept hiding him while they were getting him dressed. It was almost like they were trying to do things without her seeing. And then when she noticed him limping, she said, what happened? And they didn't want to say. They said, nothing's wrong. And she asked him what was up. And what he proceeded to tell her was almost unbelievable. He said last night, somebody, he thinks it's a nurse or a doctor, came to his bed, grabbed him by his arm under his armpit, dragged him out of the bed, slammed him to the floor, and drug him across the floor. And mind you, this is, of course, in Trinidad and Tobago. There's socialism rampant down there. The entire system is run on socialism. And so he might now, I want people to be clear about my brother. He does not complain about pain. He is worse than me. I don't complain about pain unless it's really bad. He don't complain about pain at all. And this boy can be in some pain. He was complaining about the pain. He never complains. When he does that, you know it's serious. So she went over and took a look at his knee, and it's all swollen. So then they had to keep him for more tests to see if something was broken. In the process of him telling it, all of a sudden they chime in saying, well, you know what, we think it was a patient that did it, so he's in quarantine. So wait, you thought it was a patient that did it. You couldn't tell me that a patient attacked my brother. But when he said something, all of a sudden it's a patient that you have in quarantine nonetheless. So what I'm going to do is we started a letter. We're going to write a letter to complain about the situation there. Now, mind you, this is the same hospital that my father passed in because of negligence. 39 years ago, they killed my dad. 39 years ago. So they're trying to do a second round of my brother, and it'll be a cold day in hell before that happens. I'll tell you that much. My intent is to shut that entire thing down so they don't harm anybody else. They're notorious for it. So what I'm asking for you guys to do, one, for prayers that my brother gets better, heals. And his name is Michael. But if any of you are in Trinidad, in the Caribbean at all, and have had any run-ins with San Fernando General Hospital being negligent in their job, please inbox me. My intent is to go to the media with it down there and blow this thing completely all the way out the water. Because if they do that to a special needs person, they'll probably do it to more. And I will not sit by when I have the option and the platform to at least try to do something. I will watch that entire place go down before I let this happen to somebody else. So if any of you hearing this are in the Caribbean, in Trinidad, anyone that knows anybody down there, send this over. At least this, you can clip out this back end and send it. Hit me up, inbox me, and give me the information I need. I need names, events. So pray for my mom. She's having a really hard time with this because that's been her baby that she's been taking care of for, well, 58 years, 59 years now. She is doing the best she can. She's doing the best she can. You can write letters, yes. The letters take forever to get down there, though. Now, if you do email, they may have an email. It's at San Fernando General Hospital in Trinidad and Tobago. San Fernando General Hospital. And I don't know if they have a complaint department, but I do have an email of another guy that is supposedly over all of it. So if I hear back from him, then I'll make sure that is a feasible place to send your complaints to. Okay. I don't know how much of a successful petition it'll be because the whole system is corrupt. Literally the whole system. Outside of Mexico and possibly Jamaica, Trinidad is probably one of the most corrupt countries on earth at the head. Just so you know. So anyway, that's the update. And as soon as I get the ball rolling, you'll know. Okay, you'll know. Scrolling at the bottom, options for helping. My goal is to try and get home as soon as possible, to try and handle it in person. I don't know yet how or when I will get in there. But my hope is to get home to figure out what's going on. I don't want mom dealing with this on her own, and I think I can get a lot more done if I were down there. So it's a crazy situation right now. Crazy situation. Just insane. I want people to understand too that if I do have to go down there, the program will be off for a bit, at least a week, if not more. But I'll try and update you with little snippets once in a while of what's going on if I do head down there. In any case, so your prayers about that will be just really appreciated. Really appreciated. So if it's something that you guys, like I said, can get information from down there, feel free. I don't have a whole lot of people that I know anymore down there. My wife does, so she's doing her part. But if you are hearing this and you're down there, get me as much info as you can. Okay, so that'd be really good. Savage Patriots will be on today, 6:30 Eastern. And Too Strong is dropping a bunch of videos lately, so just go check those out too. I appreciate you guys' time, and I do appreciate in advance your prayers. So yes, Michael Brown. Yep, that's right. That is his name, Michael Brown. So with that being said, y'all please go back everything to the author. Take it up there with him as much as possible. Do not avoid doing that. And appreciate you. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. So please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, rely on yourself and know